we are working on Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on the first project called Ice Cream Flavors. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and enable only digitally signed macros in this workbook. So we're going to go ahead and go to the File. Here at the top, we're going to click Options. We're going to go to the Trust Center. And under here, we're going to click Trust Center Settings. On the left, we'll select Macro Settings, and we'll click this, disable all macros except for digitally signed macros. And then we'll go ahead and click OK. Shrink these screens, we'll click OK, and we'll click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and go to the Flavors Prices tab, which we're already there, and we're going to format the markup and price column to display 2 decimal places. So we'll go ahead and highlight the C column, and we're going to go ahead and highlight the D column for markup and price. And then we're on the Home tab, we're in the Numbers group, and all we're going to do is move the decimal place over 1 place so that we have 2 decimal places there. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go to the Q1 sales worksheet, so we'll go ahead and do that. And it tells us to apply on the quarts sold column conditional formatting. So let's go ahead and highlight that E column, and then we'll go ahead and we're on the Home tab still. We're in the Styles group, and what we're going to do is conditional formatting here, and then what we want is the top bottom rows, and we're going to select bottom 10 items. Now, if you're just quickly glancing over these, you'll miss it because it says 10. But when you click that, you have the option of changing that over to 5, and we want the light red fill here. So we'll go ahead and click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go to the monthly orders worksheet, and we're going to add a formula in the demand. What we're going to do here is we're going to put multiple formulas into one cell. It's called nesting formulas. So this is not easy. The first thing we're going to do is we'll click the FX button here to insert the function, and we're going to start with the OR function here. And what we're going to do is the first thing it tells us to do is we are looking for if April was less than March 1st. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do E4 less than D4. And then the second thing that we want to look for is E4 less than the average of B4 through D4. And we'll close our parenthesis, and we'll click OK. Now that's just the first part of this. So right now we have an OR statement, and we have the average formula in that OR statement. So we're going to go to the formula bar up here, and we're going to select all of that, the whole formula except for the equal sign, and we're going to do Control X to cut it. Now, and we're going to delete the equal sign. The reason I did the OR statement, I'm just cutting it, is because it's going to be easier to just paste the formula than to manually type it in, because the next one we're going to do is the if formula, and now I can just paste that argument here. You might forget parentheses. It's easier to paste it. Just do one step at a time, but you can do it other ways. So Excel is looking at these cells to see if this logical test is true or false. And then what we want to do here is if the value is true, it tells us that we want to go ahead and put the text decreasing. And if it's false, we want to put no change. And I'm hitting tab through those, but notice it puts the quotation marks for us. We, again, could manually key in this formula in this cell, but I encourage you to use the function builder here. We'll go ahead and click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 5 asks us to go to the Flavors Prices worksheet, and then in F4 it tells us to go ahead and add a watch to this cell. So I'm going to go ahead and select my cell here. I'm going to go to Formulas here at the top, and under Formula Auditing, we're going to click Watch Window, and we're going to click Add Watch, and it should select that cell for us, and it does. So we'll go ahead and click Add, and then we can close out of this. We'll click Mark Completed. And Task 6 asks us to go ahead and go back to the Q1 sales, and we're going to go ahead and create a chart based upon multiple sets of cells selected. So we'll start with the ice cream flavors. So we'll go ahead and select A3 to A26. It also tells us to select the cost. So I'm holding the control key down so that I can select another set of columns and cells. And then again, I'm going to do this for profit, holding control down still, so I can select all of those different columns and cells. So from here we need to go to the Insert tab, and we're in the Charts group, and what we want is to insert a combo chart. And from this, we actually want to select Clustered Column Line on Secondary Axis, and that tells us to put it over to the right of the table. We'll click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on Project 2 called Food Trucks. Task 1 asks us to go to the Food Stock Inventory worksheet, so we'll go ahead and do that. What it's asking us to do is go ahead and set a conditional formatting rule for the food items column that sets duplicate items to red. In this step, write a conditional formatting rule is the key word. So we're on the Home tab, we're in the Styles group. We're going to go ahead and click Conditional Formatting and click New Rule. And the rule type, we're going to go ahead and click Format Only Unique or Duplicate Values. And right here, we're going to click the Format button. We're on the Font tab. We're going to select red here. If you're not sure, hover. It'll tell you what it is. We'll click OK. OK. And notice duplicate values here are now red. We're going to click Mark Completed. Task number 2 asks us to go ahead and go to the H12 tab, H12 cell on the Q1 Actual Sales tab. So we'll go ahead and go here, and we'll put our cursor here. What we're going to do is create a formula to look at the number of trucks that had hamburger sales, which had more than $2,500 in sales for the month of March. So let's go ahead and put our cursor here. We'll click the Insert function here, and the formula that we want is the count if. So we'll go ahead and type that, count ifs. We'll click Go, and it populates there. We'll click OK. So our first criteria is we want only the hamburger trucks. So we'll go ahead and select that range. For the criteria, what we're going to do is type in hamburger meal. It's not real clear in the steps, so no. What we're doing is we're just pulling that name from here. The other thing we want to do is we want the sales for the month of March. So we'll go ahead and select our range. So it's looking in that column for that. And we want anything greater than 2,500. We'll click OK. It brings back 2. So we'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go to the Q1 Actual Sales, which we're at. What it wants us to do is to name the table here. So we'll put our cursor here in this table. Because our cursor is here, we get the Tables, Tools, Designs tab. And then over here, Table Name, we can go ahead and type in Q1_sales. And we'll click Enter to set that name. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go to the Q1 Targeted Sales tab. So we'll do that. And what it wants us to do is to save this chart as a template in our GMetrix folder. So we'll go ahead and right-click this right here, and we'll click Save as Template. And we'll go to our GMetrix Templates folder, and here we're going to go ahead and save it as Target Sales. The T and the S are capitalized. It's one word. So we'll go ahead and click Save, and we'll click Mark Completed. Task 5 asks us to go ahead and go to the Pivot Table tab, and what it wants us to do is to add grand totals for the columns only. So with our cursor here in this table, we can go to the Design tab here at the top under Pivot Table Tools, and under the Layout group, Grand Totals on for columns only. We'll click that. We'll click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on Project 3 called Scuba Courses. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and protect the workbook so users cannot add, change, or delete the worksheets. And it gives us the password. So we're going to go to the File tab here at the top, and on the Info section, we're going to go ahead and click Protect Workbook. And then be careful because we want to protect the entire workbook, not just the current sheet. And then that's correct up there at the top, and we just need to enter in the password 12345, and it's going to ask you to rekey that password in. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and create a new set of customized colors. So we're going to go to the Page Layout tab here at the top, and in the Themes group we're going to click Colors and click Customize Colors. It tells us to change accent 1, and what we want is the blue accent 1. And they want it changed to darker 25%. Notice I didn't know where it was, I just hovered. If you're not sure, hover. And we want to call this Ocean Colors. We'll click Save, and we'll click Mark Completed. On this same worksheet, it's going to ask us to go ahead and put a formula in to look at the courses and the instructor and have it fill in with the instructor name here on B8. So let's go ahead and put our cursor there. We're going to click the insert function here, and what we need is the VLOOKUP. We'll type in VLOOKUP, and then it's selected. We'll click OK. The first thing that we want to do is we need to tell Excel what we're looking up, and we're looking for RecDiver. So we'll go ahead and put that there. The table array, it's asking us to go ahead and select that table. It tells us that the table's on courses. So we'll go ahead and what we want to do is select both the foundation course and the instructor name, specialty course instructor name, and youth course instructor name. We want all of that. Ultimately, it's A6 to B31, but they have this one down here at the bottom. If you're not careful, you won't select it. The next thing it's asking us is to select a column, so we'll go ahead and select 2, because that's where the instructors are at. And then we need to type in false here in the range lookup because we want an exact match. And we'll click OK. Notice that Dan Webster is populated for the instructor. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go to the Schedule tab, so we'll go ahead and do that. And in B7, we're going to go ahead and put in all the names of the instructor using a combo box, and we're going to apply 3D shading to the control. So you need to have the Developer tab open. If you don't have that, you can right-click here at the top and click Customize Ribbon, and from there, just select the Developer and click OK. On the Developer tab, what we want to do is click this Insert right here, and that's in the Controls group. And we want to insert our combo box. And if you're not sure, hover. What it's going to have me do is actually draw that box. Once that's been drawn, we're going to go ahead and click the Properties button with that selected. First thing we want to do is input our range. So we'll collapse that. We'll go to the instructor list and select from A7 to A12. We'll drop that back down. And then you just want to make sure you check that 3D shading. We'll click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. And Task 5 asks us to go ahead and remove the instructor's named range. So we want to go ahead and go to the Formulas tab here at the top. And in the Define Names group, we want to click Name Manager. And Instructors is the only one there. We'll have that selected. We'll click Delete, and we'll click Close. We'll click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on the 4th project called International Consulting. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and display the Developer tab on the ribbon. So there are a few ways to do this. The easiest way is to just right-click up here and click Customize the Ribbon, and then click the checkbox there. Click OK, and it now is there. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and configure the workbook to calculate options so formulas do not show results changes until manually recalculated or the workbook is saved. So keyword is configure. We'll click File, Options. In the Formulas tab over here, what you want to do is Calculation Options, Workbook Calculation, and we want to click Manual and just make sure that's checked off. And we'll click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 3 is a little bit difficult. We're going to be on, we're still on this same tab, World Capital Cities. We're going to go ahead and click in the G2 cell. And this is going to be a nested statement. So The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a match formula, and the lookup value is going to be F2, and the lookup array is going to be B2 to B198. And the reason we're doing that, I'll slide down here, we're selecting all of the cells in this table, including this blank one right here. So you want to make sure you select all that. But we're not done. We want to make this an absolute reference for all of the values. Now, I'm just highlighting this this range, and I'm going to hit F4, and it puts the $sign in front of both the column and the row for each section of this. But you could just manually key those in. For the match type, we're going to click 0. We're going to go ahead and click OK. We've done the first part of this formula. We're going to go ahead and click in the formula bar and cut match to the end of the formula. We'll delete the equal sign. And what we want to do is click insert function again. This time we want to insert an index function. So we'll type index up here. We'll click OK. We want to do the array row number column number. And for the array, we want to do C2 to C198. Again, that's the last cell in this table. And this array range also needs to be an absolute reference. So again, I'm highlighting that range and I'm hitting the F4 key on my keyboard. For the row number, we're actually just going to paste that match formula that we've already done. And then what we're going to do is click OK. Now, you could have typed this whole formula out manually, but that's probably the easiest way to do it. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go ahead and go to the Top 15 Cities tab. And what it wants us to do is add a slicer for the country column. So what we want to do is put our cursor here in this table, and we want to go to the Analyze tab, and in the filter, we want to click Insert Slicer. And then we just want to click the country up here, and we'll click OK. And that puts that here. It says to place it to the right of the chart. We're going to click Mark Completed. Task 5 asks us to go ahead and stay on this tab. And what we want to do is change the way that this is sorted. So with our cursor here in the table, we get the pivot table tools. We'll click Design. Sorry, we're going to click Analyze again. And in the Show group, we're going to click Field List. And what we need to do is they want it by rank and not by alphabetical order. So what we want to do is take this, I'm clicking and dragging it down, and I want to put it here, right above, you see that green line, right above capital city. So now it's sorted by rank, and we click Mark Completed. We are on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on the 5th project called Export Foods. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and to go to the Specialty Items Prices tab, which we're on, and it wants us to format column F with the British pound sterling. So let's go ahead and select column F. We're on the Home tab. We're in the Numbers group here. We're going to click the dialog box there. On here, we're going to go ahead and click Number Currency, and in the Symbol group, we need to find GBP, and it can be hard to find as we're going through here. Here we go. I got lucky and found it pretty quickly, but it can be hard to find. We'll go ahead and click OK, and we'll click Mark Completed here. Task 2 asks us to go to the 2016 Shipping tab, and what we're going to do is in column H, we're going to key in a formula that calculates the number of days it took from the date of order to ship. So we're going to click Insert Function here at the top, and the formula that we need is days. That's selected. We'll go ahead and begin this. The first thing that it needs to do is the end date, and that's going to be the ship date. So we need to select G2 for that, and our start date is going to be the date of order. We'll click OK. And it might not be clear in the instruction set, but what it wants you to do is to use the drag fill to populate this formula through the table. So you could just click and drag that down, or if you just double click that, it will populate all the way down to the end of the table. Little secret. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go ahead and go to the Warehouse Extension worksheet, and what it wants us to do is calculate the mortgage payments. This is another hard function. The function that we need here is called PMT, And we'll go ahead and click OK. So the first section is the rate, which is B5, but we want to divide that by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. The NPR, NPER is going to be B6, but we need to multiply that by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And it says down here, total number of payments for the loan. So it's 15 years, 12 months. The the PV is for present value, and that's the amount of the loan. So we'll go ahead and select B4 there. The future value, we want it to be 0. And for type, we want to go ahead and select 1 because it's at the beginning of the period, and it tells us that here. We'll go ahead and click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go to the 2016 Summary Chart tab, and it wants us to modify the table over here so that the product names are grouped with each country. So over here, we're going to go ahead and slide down until we find product name. What we want to do is actually just click and drag that down underneath country here. And notice it went ahead and it populated here in the table, and it changed our chart. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. And Task 5 asks us to go ahead and apply the style 16 to the pivot chart. So we'll select that chart here. Up here we have special chart tabs that affect only this chart. We'll go ahead and click Design. And the chart styles here, we just want to select 16. And we'll click Mark Completed.